All I know is, Virginia, we have a mission that's ours. And let's go find our mission. And we'll be good partners with everybody because they're good folk, and we'll partner with folk. But we need to find our mission now and not get torn between other people's mission. So let's go find what would our mission look like. But more importantly than that, North America doesn't have a movement going right now. We're all in survival mode. Believe me, folks, that's not a movement. That's survival. How do we create an atmosphere of movement? Not that the BGAV wants to be a movement. We want to be a part of a movement. We don't want to be the movement. That's not who we are. We want to be a part of something that's doing something. So how do we start generating that and get us out of this toxic environment that's killing our churches, killing our morale, killing our attitudes, making us suspicious of each other, where we're all sitting in judgment of each other, and you can't have a conversation without defining what kind of Baptist you are. And it's exhausting. Is there a way we could find ourselves in a better space than this, where being Baptist, which we will always be, is something that makes sense again? How do we find that space? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So how are we going to do that? What kind of movement is out there that we could become a part of? Or better yet, how do you start one? I've never started one. I don't know anybody that started one. What do you do? Well, we knew that it had 5 things it had to be. So we had to take ourselves out of that pot that was killing us and replant ourselves in a much bigger pot. You want to live, put yourself in a big pot, not a small one. So let's put ourselves in a really big pot and make room in that pot for other people who might want to come and be a part of this with us. So together we can be movemental, not any one of us by ourselves. Movemental, not for our end, movemental for the kingdom of God. Because there are lost people out there who need the gospel, and we're so self-absorbed in our own mess, we can't get out there with the gospel. Right?
Right.
So how do we get back out there? That was a question that we had to ask 10 years ago. So here are the things that we knew would be involved in starting a movement. Start with leadership. You don't have leadership, it ain't gonna happen. Get leadership. And put a lot of hard energy in top quality leadership. Starts with church planning. Number 2. Not starting new churches. There's no energy if you're not starting new churches. Gotta have new churches. Pockets of Virginia are popping up that have no church. Mosques are getting there before us. Shame on us. It's gotta have high energy with starting churches. Number 3. We got a lot of good churches that aren't doing well right now. We're going to forget them? Don't think so. How do we help revitalize existing churches? How do we help these churches revitalize? What can we offer a church to say, we really believe if you attempt this, this can help turn your church around? That's the 3rd thing. 4th thing, well, you can't have movement if you're not missional. What missions are we going to talk about? How are we going to be the missional people of God, re-engaging lost community? Is this all about saving existing churches? Or is this about saving churches? Or is this about reaching a lost community? How do we become missional again? And how do we have young leaders that we're calling up? So we started with leadership, started Upton, Spence Network. Probably got about 10 years worth of that now. We've got over 300 trained leaders. They're starting to infiltrate. They're taking over. That's good. Do it. Get on my shoulder and show me a horizon you see that I can't see anymore. We'll shoot for that one. Not the one I get to see. That horizon's too low. We want to shoot for the horizon these young leaders see. Let's go after the big thing. Let's put them on our shoulders. So we've got all these young leaders, and believe me, they've got some ideas, they got some opinions, and they're telling us pretty point blank where we ought to go. So we started with the leadership, started church planning, something called V3. Now let me tell you about V3. You see it on the wheel here. What we did with V3 is we had a lousy church planning strategy that we had used for years. Here's the strategy. We'll identify a site to start a church. Then we'll take 2 years to find the right person to plant the church there, because it takes about that long to do all the process of getting the right person for a church plant. And then we'll invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in hopes it works, which about 30% of the time would work, 70% fail. Bad strategy, but it was the only model out there. I don't know, I didn't see any other models. So we hired this guy named J.R. Woodward, who came to us, looked at our model and said, "You got a really bad model here." I said, "Yeah, man, tell us about it. Do you have a better idea?" He said, "Yeah, actually I do." I said, "Well, what's your idea?" He said, "Why are you invested in science? Why aren't you invested in church planners?" Well, I never thought of that. He said, "Well, let's invest in church planners." I said, "Well, how do you want to do that? It takes 2 years to find one. How do we go and find church planners?" "Let's host a church planning conference. Invite people to come." "All right. Think they'll come?" "We'll see." You know how many came to the first one? That was 5 years ago. 230 showed up. Church planners, called by God to start churches. They show up. They're a weird bunch. They have some really strange ideas. I wouldn't want to expose them to too many people. You put them all in one location, they even get weirder. I'm going, wow, this is where the future is? We're in trouble. More energy, more craziness, more willing to put it out there than anything I've ever seen in my life. These folk are. Put it all on the table. They're ready to go. Now we can only work with 40, it's all we can afford. We now have 70 in a cohort that we started for church planners. Just 1 year, 70. Multiplied, you have to be with us 2 years. You have to go through our training. We have to know where you are doctrinally. We need to know where you are spiritually and that you have the tools to do this. And then we might invest in you 2 years down the way. You know, we have spent less money on church planning than ever before and started more churches than ever before. Because in 2 years, by the time they get through the process, they've already got that church up and running and self-sustaining. They don't need our money. Last year, year before last, we didn't spend $1 on church planning and started 40 churches. Isn't that crazy? Now, obviously, other groups are coming to us and saying, "Well, how do we get in on this?" And we're saying, "Well, come on, you want to work alongside of us? This is about starting churches for the kingdom. This isn't about an institution trying to do something. This is about trying to find ways to be kingdom." Now, one thing we did not anticipate in this new strategy, and Glenn Akins, y'all know Glenn Akins on staff? Glenn Akins has a phrase that I've learned to use well. His phrase is this: "What if it works?" Now, we Baptists aren't used to anything working, so we've seldom asked that question. So what if it works? Well, now you've got 100 and some church planters we've trained. They're BGAV church planters. They've made a covenant with BGAV. We didn't tell them where to plant a church. We trained them. So now they're planting churches in LA. What are we doing out there? You heard a reference a minute ago to Hawaii. We now have 2 churches in Hawaii. We have churches in New York, in Florida, in Alabama, in Texas. We even have 2 churches in Korea that come from our church planners. We didn't anticipate that, but when I talked to them, well, why don't you join a convention where you are? You know what their response is? We're your child. You birthed us. Number 2, we've checked these other areas out. We don't know anybody that's like the BGAV that honors the local church the way you do. They keep trying to tell us how to be church. You never do that. You let us be church that God's called us to be in our location. And not only that, you get excited about what we're doing. Nobody out here does that. You don't know how unique you are in Virginia. I said, but we're the BGAV. He said, well, you don't have to be in Kentucky to eat at KFC. And besides, we just refer to you as the GA, the General Association. That works for us. That's what you are in your documents. We'll refer to you as the General Association right now. I'll come back to all this in a few minutes. All of a sudden, the church planting thing has taken off, and we've got another 200 and some signed up for the next one coming up here, not in September, up in Philadelphia. Starting to move around now. Church planters. There are more church planters than we can support, but we're not having to support so many. And now those, when they go and start churches, they bring their church in and they bring their friends. It's starting to get a little flywheel going of interest all over the place. We hear you guys would accept a church like ours. Yeah, here's who we are, here's our statements of faith, all that kind of stuff. Well, we fit that fine. We're comfortable with you guys. Thank you for being the type of organization you are. How do we become a part of you guys? I get a considerable number of letters now. It's a nice place to be, by the way. I'm telling you this because I want your churches to feel they're making something happen. Even if you feel like not much is happening where you are, you're making a whole lot happen that your folk don't know about. And it's you, not me, it's you. That BGAV's temperament is you. That's what's drawing people to who we are. So let me just kind of walk us through our mission statement. This is sort of a new one. It's made of 4 parts. We're a missionary movement, and we say that because every church needs to be missionary now. We're living, you're living in a mission field. Wherever your church is located is a mission field. So every church is a missionary church. So we're a missionary movement. And we're about unleashing the power of the resurrected Christ, because this is going to happen through the power of the Holy Spirit, not through anything we do. Amen. This is about unleashing that power in us, letting God have his way with us. So unleashing that in us, taking us to places we'd prefer not to go, but we'll go because the Spirit of God is compelling us to go there, right? So it's unleashing the power of the resurrected Christ. Do we work through the institution of the BGAV? No. We work through the local church. Everything we do is the local church. Everything. If it happens, it's got to happen at the local church level. That's our commitment. Everything we do is for your benefit and benefit of all the churches. And its purpose of all that, for the renewal of all things. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That the entire world, every person, everything in this world be redeemed in the loving grace of Jesus Christ. That's why we do what we do. So that's our mission statement, those 4 things. It's got to be missionary. It's got to be releasing the power of the Spirit inside of us. It needs to be at the local church level, and it needs to be about renewal.